Made with assistance from the Community Broadcasting Foundation and heard from across Australia to around the world online.
You're listening to Z Games, where we bring you the best in gaming news, reviews, community, and culture.
Want to get in touch? Find us on social media or email us on air at zgamesau.net. G'day, Cheeky.
Hey.
Beat you to it, matey.
Yeah, you did.
Little ninja intro there.
Yeah, man. I was like, she's getting ready. I'm going to come with the g'day first.
And the snow.
It's a bit of a
So rude.
race.
You had a bit
oh
of
my
a
god,
stroke
I'm having
there?
a stroke. God, this happens to me every time.
6 seconds in.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We've already
Hi, guys.
had our stroke.
Yeah.
Peace now.
Yeah.
You're hanging out on Z
Bye.
Games. In studio, we have Millie.
Hey.
I'm Jack, Kate,
Aye.
and Kosh.
Hiya.
Coming up on the show, Kate, you've been wanting to talk about internet gaming disorder
Yes.
for an entire month.
Yes. Well, longer, but yes.
It has been recognised by the World Health Organization as a genuine disorder for the first time ever.
Well, the
Or is
DSM,
pending?
so it's an official thing with
Right.
the World Health Org at this stage,
Right.
and they're not seeming to back down from that, but it has been mentioned since 2013 in the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual for Psychiatric and Psychological Disorders
Right.
as like a needs further work.
But
So we
it
should
seems
look
to
into
have
it.
gotten further than that more recently.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be talking about it on the show.
Cool. Well, that's coming up. I'm going to be talking about this cute little game called The Gardens Between. Someone's going to play it and you're going to love it. I guarantee one of you are going to... Oh, it's
Yay.
such a good game. I love it so
I
much.
love new games.
On Switch.
Yay.
Switch.
More Switch games.
And Millie, you're going to be chatting another mobile game.
Heck yeah, because I can't play enough of them, apparently. What is my free time?
I played it too, and I feel like we're going to fight about this one.
Yeah, we probably will, but
Aw.
it's okay. It's okay.
Jeez.
Save the review.
I keep all my ends open. That
Usually-
was wrong.
People... What a quote. I'll make sure I cut that up later. You usually get addicted to mobile
no.
games quite quickly, but this one you were like, I have some things to say.
Yeah.
So
Sounds rare.
we'll get to that a little bit later on, but first, the week in gaming news.
Here it comes.
Across Australian radio and across the world online, from 4ZZZ Studios in Brisbane, this is your weekly Z Games News Update. Western Australia's screen agency ScreenWest has launched the Interactive Pilot Fund, providing funding support for original game projects. Developers working on a VR, AR, mixed reality, extended reality, serious games or multi-platform project can apply for a maximum of $20,000 per application. Culture and Arts Minister David Templeman commented, quote, "Through this fund and our investment in the upcoming Extended Reality WA Festival, I'm delighted that the McGowan government is giving Western Australian talent a power-up so that they will be better equipped to take part in the game," end quote. Ouya, the Kickstarter-funded project that raised over $8.5 million in 2013, will have its game store shut down on June 25th, 2019. According to the FAQ on Raiser's website, once it has been shut down, access to the online store will no longer be available, but downloaded games may still function if they don't require a purchase validation. While Ouya's Kickstarter campaign was wildly popular at the time, sales slumped following launch, and Raiser acquired Ouya's employees and content library in 2015. Paramount Pictures has delayed the Sonic the Hedgehog movie to February 14th, 2020. Director Alex Fowler tweeted that they are, quote, "taking a little more time to make Sonic just right," end quote, adding a hashtag stating no visual effects artists were harmed in the making of the movie. After the first trailer was released in February, it drew a number of complaints from Sonic fans about the way the character had been redesigned. Paramount and Sega were planning to change the design ahead of the set release date of November 20th, but it seems they adjusted plans when some expressed concerns that visual effects artists would be made to crunch. After Riot Games announced it will not be eliminating the arbitration clause for current workers, Riot employees have drafted a petition to send to the board of directors. An excerpt from the petition says, quote, "Riot has always aspired to be at the cutting edge of game companies. We have also stated that we want to be a world leader in diversity and inclusion. To do both, we need to make shifts not just in our game production, but in our employment practices. Making this change, even when there's a clear cost to the company, unequivocally shows Riot's commitment to changing itself, both to current and future Rioters," end quote. That's all for now. For more gaming updates, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as @ZEDGamesAU.
Hope you enjoyed that little snippet of news read by our resident newsreader and dad, Jack Crinjan.
I love that I'm both. It's great. It's such a...
You're everything, let's be honest.
It's on my business card. Resident newsreader and dad.
Yeah.
I'm not an actual dad. I probably should
radio
point
dad.
that out.
No,
Yeah.
he's radio dad, yeah. And Adrian was Radio Stepdad, but now he's banished.
Wasn't
so.
he uncle?
Yeah, technically
Yeah.
Radio
Because
uncle.
Ray is still granddad.
Oh, yeah, Ray is granddad.
Ray's probably coming in for the 2 weeks that I'm going to geek out.
I love how we're
Yeah.
actually debating the family tree.
No, it's
of
very
the
real.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
and I'm your mummy.
Right.
This is a very weird
I just got
relationship.
some interesting looks from Kosh and Kate at me. They're just like, why are we
Wow.
here?
Yeah.
Why are we here?
In that, a few stories. Sonic the Hedgehog, they're getting Sonic just right. So, February 14th, it's on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
So,
That's where I'm going.
I am so not.
hate
That's
it
my
already.
Valentine's Day present is I'm not going to take them to that.
good to
so
see.
ready.
See, that's how you break up with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You take them to the movies?
Screen West funding games. Good on them. We've got funding for games in Queensland and New South Wales and Victoria. Screen West getting on board. And Kosh, the Ouya.
Oh, the wonderful Ouya.
What is it? Why did it exist?
I don't know, because one games company decided to be, unique and different, and what they made was a worse version of anything that's been made.
They made
prior.
$8.3 million though.
Yeah, because
And
it
they
was all
ran
on
away with
promises.
it.
No, the
Like
Kickstarter made
meme
that
buys.
much. It's like the new thing that's
I was about
coming
to say
out. They're
something
promising like the above and beyond.
Yeah.
And then they deliver, and they're like, "Oh wait, we
Fire
haven't
Festival
actually."
all over again.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's just Kickstarter in a nutshell. Half the time, it's
Yeah.
just like, we are going to make this amazing technology.
Look, we're innovating.
Oh, we haven't
and
made it yet.
I don't know how to do that.
And we're just
going
going to run away with all your
money.
money.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's also the federal government at this point.
Ouch.
But I bought it secondhand. That's the worst part. I bought the Ouya secondhand.
How much you spent on it though?
$50.
Oh well, that's
You can't go wrong with that.
You're
Yeah.
doing better than full price, which Australian would have been about 120.
Yeah. So it was a year after I bought it, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm going to just
Still
play
wasn't
little
worth it.
Android games on it." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I can play it on
basically.
my emulate games, do whatever." And
No.
oh no,
the controller
No.
was just too bad.
It was
Basically.
it was all horrible.
It's
Millie,
essentially like a basic Yo-Ho Me Hardy's machine these days. You get what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Full Triple Z is literally pirate radio. It has been pirate radio, so we're not, hiding anything here.
All right.
Speaking of Android games, you've been playing an iOS game
I
that I
have.
sent you.
What a
and I've
segue.
forgotten the name of it.
It's called Mount Frosty.
There you go.
And it is so wholesome.
oh, yeah.
It's so beautiful. And it's just colourful and lovely. And I really wanted to like it.
There's so much weight in what you said there. You're like, I just wanted to love it so bad, but
did,
it's just
because
disappointing. It's like your second
Beautiful.
child, you know?
And like the
my
music
God.
is so fun. Oh, sorry, Kate.
I totally missed that.
You were the
Thank
first
God.
child.
No, Kate Crinjanen.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, no, it's all
Yikes,
good.
too real.
It's all good, Kate in studio. So essentially, Mount Frosty is made by Melt Games, which is really cute because
Melt
Frosty,
and Frost.
Melt.
Ha, get it? It's funny.
It's an endless mountain adventure. So
Yeah.
basically, think of Temple Run, but on a
Okay.
mountain and on skis. It's cute.
Mm-hmm.
So you avoid obstacles like trees, rocks, and other skiers, which is fun. And you fall down if you hit them, which is kind of cute. And the music slows down like boom, 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 boom.
You don't get bonus points?
No, surprisingly
Dang.
not. So you can unlock different levels through reaching a certain point in the current level. I unlocked the ice cream level and the tropical island level, which is really cute. You can collect coins, stars, and just don't fall down. Basically, it's like one of those endless runner games.
it is really, really weird though that when you
Yeah.
fall down, you just ragdoll with this
Yeah.
really
I love the
vacant
ragdoll. Yeah.
But it
The
looks
vacant-
haunted.
the vacant
expression is
expression.
what got me because I'm just like, if you had like crossed out eyes or something, you'd be like, oh no, you fell over, you're like passed
Yeah,
out or
but
whatever.
they're
It's like,
just
I get that, but
yeah.
the fact that you're just like looking forward vacantly, I'm just like,
See,
Jesus.
I
they
loved
dead?
the juxtaposition between the cuteness of the game and then when you die, it's just like, oh, look. And it's just so
Yeah.
real. I don't know.
I found it really cute to begin with.
and then you die a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah, a lot. You control it through tapping to turn left or right. This is my major gripe with this game. Is
Oh,
like
no.
I was beginning to think when I first downloaded it and I heard Endless Runner, I was thinking it's either like sort of the Temple Run scheme of Endless Runner where you're going sort of thing, like you're just going straight and you control it via either tapping or swiping left or right to
Yeah.
avoid obstacles. But this one is sort of on a rail of sorts. So you sort of, when you first start off, you end up going right immediately.
Yeah.
And that threw me for an 8-ball immediately. I was like, what? And I just like ran into a tree. And
Good start.
But yeah.
It's like real
I know.
skiing.
Yeah.
But it tells you not to like tap repeatedly. You need to like, slow down
So-
and everything like that. But I found myself having to tap repeatedly because
You want it to go straight.
well, technically, yeah. But like, I found that even though you're turning in a wide circle and then you turn again to time your turn to the other one, I found that it was still quite difficult to reach that point.
Yeah.
And here reaches my other gripe with it, is that I found the collisions very strong. They're very wide, I think. I find them too large because I think even with the trees, like you can just be sort of next to it and you go boom, boom, boom.
So
Yeah,
the
like you
hitboxes
only have to
doesn't
hit a
match up
branch.
with the,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the actual artwork.
Yeah,
Okay,
so like
cool.
it's sort of like, like if you were skiing, you'd like hit a tree and they'd be like sort of thing. And, like,
Yeah.
you'd stop. But for an endless runner game, so it's like,
Yeah.
oh well, you're done. So I feel like the collisions need to be just a smidge smaller, a little bit more
It just like
forgiving.
takes you out of the experience. I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
It also feels like I haven't played much. I've literally just been playing it while you've been talking about it.
Yeah.
But usually in an endless runner, you're like, oh, you died. Do you want to play again?
From
if
where
you
you
like
died.
watch an ad, or
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have 10 coins or whatever. Do you have that option at all?
Not that I found.
Weird.
I haven't found it, no.
Weird. Like if you were gonna milk, money out of
Yeah.
people, I feel like
Yeah.
that is an obvious opportunity.
Hugely.
Well, the opportunity comes in from, is it a free-to-play game?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
free to play.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah.
Yeah,
That
it's
would make
weird,
sense.
right?
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
from?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's it coming from? Like I played as the panda. I like the panda more than the yeti. I found the yeti unsettling.
Wompo.
Yeah, Wompo.
Wompo.
Yeah, but
I like Kermit the Frog.
I found it
Sounds like a burp, actually. Wombo.
Wompo.
I like Leggy.
Leggy.
Like it looks like Kermit the Frog, but bouncy personality. And I'm like, yeah, look,
That's cute.
I'm into it.
So, like I said, it's really wholesome, and like I really wanted to enjoy it, and I can tell that there's been a lot of love put into it. Like it's 3D, like to
Yeah.
begin with. Like I know how hard 3D animation is, and having to program all that collision and everything like that. So there's so much love put into this game. But it has so many excellent reviews. Like people say, I need more stars, I need more levels, because they've just like done it in a day, and so I could just be really
I can't
bad
tell
at it.
how. No, because I didn't get as far as you did. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't play very much, but I enjoyed it. But
Yeah, I was
it's
just like,
hard.
yeah, I was just like sitting in a corner for a bit, and I played it for a couple of hours, and I was just so frustrated by the end of it. I had to like go back and play like a Candy Crush.
You were
clone.
frustrated specifically because when you like hit a wall, you really hit a wall. Like that whiplash took you out so much.
Yeah,
Well,
and the
other thing-
controls.
Yeah, the other thing is that, like, when they put coins next to a tree, you
Yeah.
think you're getting
That's
a trick
really
shot, and
frustrating,
you're like,
yeah.
oh, look at me, and then no, I actually hit the tree
Yeah.
because
The
it's
collisions
just
are so wide.
bigger than the actual thing is, yeah.
See,
Yeah, and that's what I really wanted to sort of implement in this game. I was hoping there would be like a near miss sort of thing, like you get points for that thing. Like, you swipe past
Yeah.
someone, you get a near miss, or like good turn, that sort of thing, because that feels a lot more like a
Exciting.
skiing racing
Yeah,
game.
I've
But
played games
this
like
sort
that
of feels
before.
a little empty.
See, you liken it to an endless runner.
Yeah.
I honestly think it would be I understand that they're very similar, but
Yeah.
it feels a lot closer to me like a Flappy Bird.
I was
right?
going to say,
Yeah.
I
it's-
think more that, yeah.
in
Well,
a-
technically, Flappy Bird is an endless runner.
That's what I
That's
mean.
true.
But in an endless runner, I feel like you have a lot more control over your character. In this,
Yeah.
the turning circle is set, and you really have to, like you said, like tapping both
Yeah.
sides super
Yeah, yeah.
often to just ski in a straight line.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you forget, this sounds really dumb, like, I don't know how to play video games, but you forget how big the turning circle is every
Yeah.
single time.
Every time.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
that is what's frustrating, I
Yeah,
think.
hugely.
Yeah, the directional capacity is very limited.
Like here, gosh.
I was going to say, I've got it on my phone.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we can all get
I'm the only one who hasn't played it yet, so
Oh, there you go,
I'm
you
just
got it
thinking,
up.
is this 3D ski free? That's all I'm thinking.
Was that like the Windows, like
The
Yeah,
Windows.
the one where you
No.
could just press the button to go
No.
faster.
No,
and you could ride
no.
a Yeti or
I
something.
found that actually, like, that one's more straightforward, honestly.
That's true. Although
That-
you don't have like a terrifying like
Yeti
snow
that comes
Yeti.
up to you.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Haunts my dreams.
Yeah, so instead you play as the Yeti, which is still terrifying.
Welcome to where we review Windows XP games,
Yeah.
everyone.
Da, 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 da. I think that was Windows 95, wasn't it?
Or 98, yeah, probably older.
I played the first map.
Yeah.
I instantly went right and slammed into a tree.
Yeah, yeah.
you go.
So
Yeah.
it is consistent.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I think that's everyone.
I think what threw me off the most is that you sort of get a tutorial when you first boot up the game, and it says, press this to turn this way and that
Yeah.
way. But like when you've got these obstacles in front of you, like don't hit the snowman, and it says, and I'm pressing to move it, and then suddenly the warning pops up and says, don't press too much. Don't press too much.
Yeah, and I'm like,
don't press too much.
let
And
me
it's just like-
press.
but I want to press to turn.
Yeah.
Because that makes more sense. Like, to, I got to adjust my turn speed, but they're like, no, do a large turn.
I'm a casual tapper.
I get it, but
It's also a little bit weird where it would make more sense if you could use the left and the right side of the screen to switch to skiing left or right.
Yes.
Instead, it interprets every single tap as switch.
Yes.
So you'll tap on the right thinking, cool, I'm going to go right, but you forgot that you accidentally mistapped twice on the left,
Yeah.
and then you go left into a tree.
I've
and
done
I'm
that
like,
before, yeah.
it's- as much as there's polish, I think, in the visuals and the animations and all of that,
Mm.
the feel of the game is a bit, I don't want to say unfair, but it isn't smooth. It's
Wonky.
jarring. That said, it has only just launched.
Oh, hugely.
Yeah.
So it's only come out in the last week and a half or 2 weeks. So
Like,
it is very new.
like I was about to say, like, it sounds like, a boo indie game, but like it literally, sort of what I feel is that, like, as a game that's just come out, it's still sort of lacking that extra polish.
So
Kosh just looks up at me like really disappointed. He's like, "Oh, not again."
no, I did die, but what I'm finding is it's not a side-by-side game. It's not a side-by-side tap. You tap in
No.
the middle and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just switches.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what
Yeah.
we're saying.
I don't know
yeah.
if it sees it, but I'm just like, I get the same
It'd
feeling
make
you
more
guys.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to get more
I feel
sense,
like
I
it should
have
be like that. Yeah,
Cool.
so
That's what
I
it is then.
Dragons.
I feel like,
yeah.
because I read on the interwebs for this page that it was an alpha for a bit, and
It'd
I'm
make
sort
sense
of
for them
looking
to
at it, I'm like, it
get the
should have
kinks
gone
out.
into a beta for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's like, while there's heaps of good reviews on there that are saying that, yeah, I had a good time with it and it's addictive. I'm just saying that I feel like there's a lot of kinks that could be ironed out to make it addictive properly, because I noticed that when I got frustrated, I was like, oh, I'm going to keep playing though. So it has the addictive quality, but eventually you just get to the point where, like, I have reached this point 7 times,
Yeah.
and I've run into a tree, a skier, and a rock.
Yeah.
It's like, good night.
I'm over it.
The other thing with games that are really catchy on the first play, they generally, they do definitely
They're
need
not like
more
that on
depth.
the 50th.
Yeah, they need some depth to actually keep that longevity, and this
Yeah.
game, I think, definitely has the catch appeal, and it'll get you
Hugely.
to stick momentarily, but maybe not the depth to keep longevity.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is, I feel like, a good start. It
Oh, yeah.
maybe
Definitely.
could have used a little bit more time in an alpha or a beta phase, but those complaints about content or lacking content, obviously if it's just launched, then the developer's going to be supporting
Yeah.
it over time. So,
Definitely.
Could still be addressed.
definitely. Mount Frosty was developed actually in Sydney by a studio called Melt Creativity. Do you know if it's their first game?
I couldn't find that, but it could be. But Melt is so cute when they made it.
I know,
like
yeah.
Mount Frosty. It's like, ice cream.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And they have like an ice cream level and everything. It's like so wholesome. And they end all their like they're replying to all the reviews, which is really cute on iTunes. And they end with "Stay Frosty." I'm like, oh, you guys,
Aw.
I feel so bad for ripping on you, but please fix your game.
I mean, the thing is, we're not ripping on them. I think that it's still a decent game, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
needs
it is.
work. Like, if you are tripping over this podcast, right, in like 6 months' time, and it's towards the end of 2019, odds are it's going to be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll
There's
definitely
gonna
be better by then.
Patches, there's going to be more content, so I feel like it's going to be good in 6 months' time.
It's already updated within like a couple days.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
It does look to be their first game, so they've got Mount Frosty that's come out now. The support is a little bit because they've got Ice Cream Golf in late 2019, the wonderful game of Ballfoot in late 2019, and then, weird, I know, and then Cosmic Trash,
Hi.
in 2020. So they've got a lot of games on their plate as well, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that limits their ability to support this one game.
Possibly.
But I think also it's worth mentioning, if it is their first game, it's a pretty solid first
It's
go.
pretty good.
Yeah.
You can tell there's a lot of love put into it. And again, 3D modeling, I've done it before, and it's painful to
Yeah.
get all those polygons lined up and to make it like a constantly 3D rotating world.
To look as good as it does,
That's
definitely.
very difficult. So props to you guys for doing that. Like, it's amazing.
It is
Team of
available
7.
now. Jeez, yeah, damn.
Yeah.
On Android and iOS, Mount Frosty. You can download it from that Sydney developer. Thank
Go
you
give
for
it
that
some
review,
love.
Give
Nelly.
it some love.
Thanks for the review.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, though. No, you hang up.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to
Yes.
have some serious
Let's get
conversations right now.
let's get serious, guys.
Kate.
Yeah, no,
Tell us your research.
I thought the show was a little too fun, and I thought I should give you guys some readings.
Do it.
So that
Oh,
we
I haven't
could-
read them still.
Oh my god!
Oh,
See,
oh,
this
it's
is
okay.
what it feels like to be a
This is what it
professor.
feels
It's
of
like
like
this
reading,
station.
fiction.
like reading the readings in the lecture, and your professor's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Are you on Facebook? And I'm
What are
like,
you doing?
no, I'm trying to do the homework you sent me a week ago.
Doing the thing that I was, I'm still not doing the right thing. But
Oh, it's a mood.
anyways, I want to talk about internet gaming disorder because it is now being kind of approved, if you will, by the World Health Organization as being a legitimate issue that needs to be handled.
Hugely.
The last time we heard of this was back in the DSM-5 in 2013. And I just wanted to read the piece that they... It's an article from the journal Addiction, and it basically discusses the reason why they decided to mention it. So this is written by the subgroup, which is the Substance Use Disorder work group. And one area they were designated to work on was behavioural addictions at large. And they covered things like, gambling, shopping, exercise, different behaviours that people can get addicted to.
Right.
There were a few that they couldn't find much literature on, but they did find over 250 publications existing on internet gaming disorders. This is just a catch-all term for internet use disorder, gaming or internet addiction, gaming or internet dependence. The list goes on and on. So many big words for basically people being addicted to games or the internet or both. Despite the literature that they found, they concluded readily that no standard diagnostic criteria were applied across the studies, because at that stage there was no way of actually measuring the disorder.
Right.
Because it's not yet actually a disorder. So from here, they did say the substantial differences related to the classification basically meant that the information on prevalence, course, treatment, and biomarkers associated with internet gaming disorder is inconclusive.
There was no consistency by the sounds,
Yeah, so they didn't have a consistent measurement. They didn't have any way to kind of test one thing consistently, and as such, the results just kept coming back inconclusive. Inconsistencies in classification. So despite that, they did include it in Section 3 of the DSM-5 with the goal of this section to be fostering research of conditions included in that kind of group. So basically, in 2013, they looked at it, saw that lots of people were talking about it. They thought maybe this is something we need to bring up, and they basically said that, it needs further research. The question really that I've found consistently is whether it gets tested as an addiction similar to physical addictions and dependencies in that capacity, or if an entirely new scale gets made up. But the recommendation in the 2013 DSM was to focus on 7 pieces: preoccupation, tolerance, withdrawal, persistence, escape, problems, deception, displacement, and conflict. So basically different ways that it impacts the way people live.
Yep.
So preoccupation with it, the tolerance to it, so needing to do it more and more as you play. Persistence, like persistently having this issue on your mind, using it to escape. Problems in your real life, those sorts of things, but they're pretty much the same measurements used for physical addictions. Where you do actually get a physical tolerance through use. So now the World Health Organization has come to the conclusion that it's going to be in their disorders.
Right.
But I honestly think that there is a question of whether the relationship goes from gaming to problems in the real life or problems in real life to gaming.
The cause and effect question.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as you said, it covers not just gaming. Like, not just, you're playing WoW for 36 hours and it's affecting your life. Yeah, like, that's a bad thing.
I mean, in one go, it might be.
Well, no, definitely. Like, and there's definitely been reports of, affected mental health and things like that for it. But, there's not... I like how it's not just on gaming. Like, they're not just targeting gaming. It's internet. Like, as well, being on social media and like for just looking at a Twitter feed for that amount of time can be the same thing. Oh, I only got 12 likes on that post, I better post again, or I need to interact more, and then that can also affect you just by being on that social media platform.
So I guess it should be noted that this is literature that I found through research on social media and its effects on adolescence and identity formation, and through this there was social media disorder, compulsive internet use disorder, and a few others that I was looking at that all quoted these scales and others. But again, the problem is it's inconsistent. Do we measure this with this question or another one? And the results are so inconclusive. They did find in one instance that the there is a response in the brain for adolescents with different amounts of likes. But again, it's dependent on who's measuring and what they're testing.
And it's evolving as well. Like even like the most recent media platforms like Twitch. Like streaming. People look at numbers. They can see who's watching. They can see the average minutes watched, their followers, their subscriptions, their this, their and you get bombarded by numbers. To block it out is so difficult. It's ridiculous.
But I think what's disappointing is that in this, they are specifically putting internet gaming use or gaming disorder before any of the others. Because serious internet gaming or serious gaming is, I think, severely restricted compared to serious like social media use, which is more widely accessible.
Yes.
And it's going to get
or television
worse.
use or anything else. Yeah.
Because I mean VR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know people who dive into VR and they'll play for 8 hours a day and they don't see the effect of it because they'd rather live in, I don't know, the VR chat application, or they want to play Beat Saber for that long, and eventually, you know, we're talking down the line, you know, Ready Player One and all that kind of stuff in the Oasis, so I don't talk in real life anymore. You know, it's...
I mean, Black Mirror's done lots of episodes on it.
That sort of thing,
yeah. But...
I'm just thinking about that
it's
one episode with, like, that dude who collects, like, saliva from people and puts them into his 3D universe. His modded 3D universe.
So weird. I have no context on this one.
That's the only Black Mirror episode I've seen because my boyfriend was like, hey, you should watch this. It's about like an incel and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll watch it. And then afterwards he was like, how do you like it? I was like, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. But I mean, that's Black Mirror in a nutshell. But it's meant to do that.
It's meant to disrupt.
But I was like, don't like, bad touch.
Yeah.
But I think what you've said, Kate, raised a lot of interesting points for me, because that's why I've been a bit quiet, because I've just been listening.
Absorb the content.
Yeah, because...
learn from me.
Because it's pretty heavy, honestly.
Yeah.
But from what I can gather is that I feel like it needs to be a lot broader, because I think internet gaming addiction definitely starts... like, well, online gaming starts when you're younger, and these days it's starting so much younger. With, like, Fortnite being available free on, like, an iPad, say.
That's true,
And it's definitely online gaming. Because I think when people think of gaming, they think of... like, yes, you can play online on a console, but they definitely think of more, like, consoles.
It's very traditional. Like, you hold yourself
going,
up.
Like
the glow of the CRT playing Halo until, like, 2 a.m. or whatever. And, you like, that's not the world... Well, I mean, 20 years ago. But that's not the world that we live in now.
Because that's the old way of thinking about video game addiction. But these days, it's in your hand constantly. And children are being given... This raises a whole other issue that I'd like to talk about at some point, which is like iPad babysitter.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Good old screen time.
Screen time and that sort of thing. Like, there's even an app on your phone now that tells you about screen time.
As long as your kid shuts up on my 8-hour flight, I don't care.
Yeah, that's a mood. But the thing is,
that's
like...
a little different, though.
Oh, that's a mood.
It's a little different to being like, you know, Karen going shopping and giving little Billy iPads for, like, 15 minutes?
Or
and then he screams if he can't look at it.
The worst, you know, developmentally is when the child's given an iPad and the parent is given a phone, and then the parent is just disengaged as well, because then the child has to actually... I'm not going to go there. That's not this episode. But that attachment style, like, I've had multiple instances on just public transport where children should not be openly welcoming my, you know, smiles, and they have, because they have very... I mean, I can't talk to other people's parenting, but their attachment and their comfort is an iPad, which is not natural.
Other people.
Yeah.
So this, I know there's probably more research and talking points there, but is this focused, like, for the gaming disorder, does it only target adults, or is this also targeted towards people under 18 as well?
Well, that's the other
question.
question.
Is it just a broad, like, is it that broad in that regard?
At this stage, it is just a broad kind of...
It's very broad. Like, it doesn't really classify.
There's no...
It can be kind of... it can kind of change where... increased priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedent over other life interests and daily activities. If you're at different points in your life, right, like those interests and activities are going to be, you know, in different points in your priority list.
Yeah, exactly.
And something to be said here is that there is a comorbidity, and I know that for myself, you know, when bouts of depression kick in, the first thing I want to do is avoid life through video games. Is that video game addiction, or is that my depression acting up? Yeah. I mean, the comorbidity there, and we can't say for the general population that there isn't a confound here that is explaining these characteristics as well. Definitely. And there could be, you know, a third variable that is playing in for each of the people
Well, I always came down to, do I want to sit in, when it comes to kids anyway, to do a school, like people would skip school to play video games, and they'd be like, oh, do I want to sit in a classroom and look at math equations and multiplication tables for 6 hours? Or do I want to play online and play some World of Warcraft as an example, and sit in there and drink, pop and juice. Sorry.
Yeah, geez,
I was using the broader sense of the word.
I understand
Americanized.
what you completely mean, but again, I feel like that's still a sort of generalization of, that's the fat gamer dude in his room drinking
that's the first stage.
Yeah, drinking Mountain Dew, but for 24 hours.
We've all seen that South Park episode.
Yeah, and he just wheezes himself in a Gatorade bottle, that sort of thing.
Bathroom.
Because that's what I think a lot of people do think video game addiction is.
Yeah.
And it is.
And
there is that. Yeah, that's
but
an
I think
element of it.
That's the almost extreme level of
it's where to draw the line.
When you make a neck bid nest around your PC, that sort of thing.
And the other thing, sorry to interrupt, but
it's all right.
It's going off self-report.
Yes.
And depending on a person's self-esteem, which could also be a variable not looked at in these surveys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to think that I've got the worst anything.
Yeah.
And, I'm always gaming. And if someone's led you to believe that it's, there's a lot of things that could be impacting on individual results. And I'll read you some of the questions actually in the 27 items for the Internet Gaming Disorder Scale, as suggested. During the last year, have there been periods where you were constantly thinking about gaming while you were at school or work? During the last year, have you felt that you need to continue playing for longer periods of time? That's apparently supposed to measure tolerance. Then we've got in withdrawal. Have you been feeling tense or restless when you were unable to play games? That's a pretty drastic one.
Yeah.
It's also very broad as well. It's like, do you
exactly.
feel stressed when you're away from the computer and doing real life
and then
things?
That's the other thing. Yeah, there's a confound there that could be, persistence. Did you want to play less but couldn't? Have you played games to forget about your problems? Hell yeah.
Yeah, same.
Been there.
That's a big mood.
Doing anything to forget my problems.
Yeah.
Also,
pump the music, run some,
Knuckles.
Some Knuckles.
Yeah.
Some Sonic Adventure 2, you know how it is.
I will also say, there have been a lot of gaming organizations from all over the world that are concerned about what effect this is going to have on the industry. So, organizations, so the Entertainment Software Association from the US and Canada, the Interactive Software Entertainment Association from Australia and New Zealand, from South Korea, from the UK, like all of these organizations, I believe it was in January this year, they were speaking with the World Health Organization about whether or not it should be
on the community.
Whether they're being a little bit hasty about having this included in the ICD-11.
Yeah.
It was, where is it? ESA CEO. So this is the CEO of the US gaming body. It's our hope that through continued dialogue we can help the World Health Organization avoid rushed action and mistakes that could take years to correct. End quote. So there's clearly a big concern from these bodies that there's going to be a big. I mean, obviously, it's going to have a big impact on the people playing games, but it's also going to have a massive impact on the industry itself.
Yeah, and I mean, video games already get that demonization that, violence in video games causes violence in real life. But, I mean, there's violence in books and violence in...
Only video games is it bad. I mean, have you watched Channel 9 recently? Or 7 or 10? Like, we don't even need to pick stations, right? Like, that's
just violence on TV
a staple of mainstream broadcast. It's like,
it's on
let's
YouTube
bash
as well.
on... Well, yeah, that's true. But
unless we get a really famous one on, and then they can talk about how awesome something is. Like they,
I love Ninja.
Yeah.
Let's
Ninja.
floss, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang. Honestly,
do you think
that's
with
a whole other story?
Oh yeah, that's going down a different rabbit hole. But do you think that with the companies they were saying let's not be too hasty, it's because as well they need to somehow find out a way to take action, not against it, but like
to protect their bottom line,
well,
probably.
Sorry, to clarify, these organizations were not game companies. These were representative bodies. So sort of like more lobbying, sort of. Like, obviously, they want to act in the industry's interest. I understand that. But also, like, there's kind of a ripple effect there that I imagine that they're mindful of.
They would go down to force on the game companies that are part of, But, I mean, that it can be solved, I guess, maybe from the game point of view, for in a loading screen, just say, hey, you're maybe playing a little bit...
Like the Nintendo Wii thing, like when you boot up a Wii every single time, it's like, okay, like don't helicopter, but also like maybe take breaks every don't floss ever. Every 45 minutes, maybe take a break. Like Nintendo games have always done that.
Don't feed it orange juice.
That's weirdly specific.
That's an actual warning. Your Wii is not thirsty, don't feed it orange juice.
What game is that in?
I don't know. It's all over the internet when the Wii came out.
But those things can be used, even if they're not going to be adhered. People like parents or whatever could enforce that. Be like, okay, well, your session's now over.
Yeah, and I mean, furthermore, like other products, like this is behavioral addictions, but addictions to substances, like this is the substance use disorder subgroup that works on behaviors. But for the substance group, they don't put stickers on wine bottles saying, have you finished this entire bottle? Maybe stop.
I mean, they do that with, they do that with cigarettes, right? Like, it's different standards for different industries. And like maybe games... you could say that some of these associations are concerned about games being put under the microscope, and I mean we've definitely seen that with countries like Belgium being like no loot boxes. A bunch of games have since had microtransactions removed, or the games being removed entirely, like it was Fire Emblem Heroes and Animal Crossing on mobile. You can't play in Belgium after. I think it was August this year. So,
or they make a different version of the game.
Yeah,
like Counter-Strike, they put in China, and they actually have to tell you the loot box percentages.
WoW in China does different death. Because there's something about the undead in China.
Yeah.
That's like culturally sensitive stuff.
Like that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting story, and I imagine that this won't be the last that we speak about it. We're probably going to be bringing this up as that discussion takes place further.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that one, Kate.
Sorry to bore you with all my statistics.
No, it's very interesting.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah.
So, I've been playing The Gardens Between.
What's that?
This game is one that was developed in Melbourne. So it came out quite a while ago, I feel. It's very Melbourne. I'm just gonna
hang on. So, does it have its own coffee shop? Is what I'm asking.
Is it wearing flannel? Does it have like thick rimmed glasses and like a massive beard?
Yeah. Do you attach the beard attachment to the bottom of the Switch?
Oh, that's so weird. I feel so uneasy about that.
Does it wear plugs on the Joy-Cons? Like big
10 mil minimum. 10 mil minimum. 100%.
Hi, Melbourne.
Jeez. So it is an adventure puzzle game. You're playing as two characters, Arena and Friend. Friend? It's spelled F-R-E-N-D-T. Friend? The main mechanic is time. So you are hitting left and right on the analog stick, or you can use L and R on the bumpers, or the right stick. Like it's pretty accessible in that sense. It's the main mechanic is time, but it's not. Like, you're not on a time limit, so you're controlling time. So, to basically progress, you just need to play. Like kind of hit play, so you have play and, like, rewind, basically, is a good way to think about it. So you're not directly controlling these characters. They are basically on rails. But the game doesn't feel like it's on rails, and I feel like that's where kind of the magic is. So you're walking through... Arena will usually have, like, a lantern that she's carrying through... the levels, and you need to try and pick up sort of like things of light. You need to make sure that you dodge things of darkness, because otherwise pretty much you use like the globes of light to make bridges, or you need to interact with other elements in the level. You need to be pretty observant, because Arena and Friend interact with different things. So you need to have like your set of eyes bouncing back and forth between both of them. It's not... you're not on a time limit. So obviously, Kate, you just played a bit of it. You weren't feeling under pressure in... No.
Confused.
A little bit clueless, yeah. It is very abstract. I should probably mention that as well.
It's Melbourne.
It is Melbourne. I was like, Melbourne, a.k.a. abstract.
Yeah.
So the way that it tells its story, honestly, I didn't know the characters were named Arena and Friend through the game itself. Which is not great, but it's very, very abstract. It's very, very... You don't get a lot. It's all these like little bits and pieces that you kind of pull together from each level that show, small pockets of their life. Like, it seems like these are two kids that have kind of like grown up together, and, they're like... pretty much you start the game off and they're in their little tree house. and then lightning strikes, and they
all die.
They all die.
It's lightning fast.
And they're like kind of thrown back to all of these different memories that they're reliving and re-interacting with. So that's
is it like PTSD?
Not quite. So
you sound way too excited about that.
Yeah,
abstract, not dark.
Well, it sounds like it might be, because the way the art style is done is as if they're looking at these planets that are...
Yes,
like
that's a really
objects.
good...
Yeah. So if it's playing out a memory, it would be similar to the way that your mind would actually do it.
That's a good
in
way
that
to look
one
at
thing
it.
becomes a focus.
I like it a lot. I mean, the art style is gorgeous. It's like... I don't want to call it Spartan, because it's not bare, but it gives you just the right amount of detail, even on the Switch, to feel like it's not... It's just really good to look at.
Yeah.
It's just such a good-looking game, guys. Holy God, I love it so much.
I'm still so confused. I have no idea.
Yeah,
So you basically just go... Okay, I haven't played much of the game.
You try and explain
my
it.
understanding is that you just hit go, which is the play, and then they will do what they need to do. And then if there's something to interact with, I hit A, and then you interact with it. And hopefully it lets you not get to that stoppage. Because I got to the stoppage, and then it just stopped.
So it's a little bit hard
where I'm at now.
to describe as well, because it's a puzzle game, so you can't really clue people in a lot without giving spoilers. So I will spoil a single level. Basically, you are walking through as Arena and Front, and you power on, like you basically plug in the TV and the VHS player.
Oh, that's cool.
By interacting with something and then reversing time on just that item. So you can reverse time on different elements in a level. You plug in the power, the VHS and the TV power on.
But you have to rewind the VHS.
So yeah, basically, there's like a point in the timeline where Front taps a button.
Yeah.
But you need to rewind it all the way for the VHS to pop out.
Right.
So you need to actually rewind Front to that point that he's holding the button down, and it will rewind as long as he's holding it down until the VHS pops out, and then you can continue on through the level.
That's interesting.
It's really crafty in the way that it gives you pretty much the same tools in each level, but they show up in different kinds of ways. Like it's all time control. There's not really a mechanic that isn't time control that you're in direct control of outside of touching a thing, right?
Yep.
It's making sure that everything lines up completely right.
And knowing what the game wants you to do.
Yeah. Sometimes that can get frustrating, but because you always have access to all of it. Like, it's not a puzzle game where you'll get past a certain point and then realize, oh, I needed that thing from all the way back there, but I can't get back there, so I need to restart a level. It doesn't do that.
Okay, cool.
So it doesn't lock you into a lose state, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because puzzle games really
do that.
It's really frustrating when it does that.
They do that often these days.
That said, later on in the game, you're basically going through like these memory bubbles in like 2 or 3 stages each. So you've got like 5 or 6 of them, I think it is. Towards the latter end of the game, it does get really finicky, and you're like, wait, hang on. Because to make it more complex, you're still using the same mechanic, but you just have more things to interact with. Right. And so if it kind of turns into a bit of trial and error sometime, and you're just like, why doesn't this work? I feel like this should work. And then you're like, oh, wait, I'm an idiot. Let's try this.
Yeah.
Because it's a puzzle game, right? For the most part, you don't turn around and go, oh, I didn't know that was there. Like, it signposts main interaction points pretty well.
Yeah.
Not the best, but pretty well. And it doesn't lock you into a lose state. So, again, I can't...
You just keep going and going until you find out the combination.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems to be the way that I'm playing it at the moment.
So it does turn a little bit into, like, trial and error sometimes, but that's really only at the very, very end of the game. The music, I feel like, is kind of a big one as well. And it's this, like, really low-key sort of, like, piano soundtrack that you have that's kind of very light over the top, which is kind of like Hyrule in Zelda. Ooh. You have this like kind of tasteful like little bits of piano that kind of drop in here and there. Like, you haven't got music set to the stages. It kind of just hangs out in the background.
Sorry, I just went like straight to Twilight Princess Hyrule feel, where as soon as you walk in it goes
because I was wondering why you were like, oh, like you had this like face like expression of disgust, and you're like, wait, no, that's not the game I'm at.
Yeah, no, I just like straight to Twilight Princess. It's just like, hey, guess what? You're here.
Bomb!
Yeah, it's just, oh, no thanks.
Is there any good music from Twilight Princess?
Oh, so much.
Okay, maybe we'll dig some up.
I need to talk about Twilight Princess at some point.
We've spoken about Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I know, but I need to talk about Twilight Princess. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, the Gardens Between. I'm just trying to check what things it's on, because I'm playing it on Switch. It's also on PC. Mac compatible.
Yeah.
Someone's happy. Yay.
Also Xbox
happy.
One and PS4. So it is basically everywhere. I believe it's also on iPad and iPhone. So you can download it on your phone. It might look a little bit more jagged than like a Switch, but it looks fine on the Switch. I mean, if you're playing it on an iPad, obviously you've got plenty of room. And because it's such a simple thing of just like, you literally just be hitting left and right on the screen, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that would make the jump very, very well to iPhone and iPad. Yeah, so that's Gardens Between. I like it a lot. I wish I could be less vague about it, but because it's a puzzle game, like I really have my hands tied, because you just spoil everything.
Yeah.
And it is really sort of touching in a very abstract way again, sort of learning more about these characters. Which, I mean, it'd be good if I knew what the names of them were, kind of my first playthrough. But
I think you could, like, if you didn't know the names, though, you could probably just make them up.
You kind of make your own story up to begin with. Well, that's what I did.
Exactly. I think everyone would be like, you just dumped in this world and there you go.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of go, oh, what's this?
It's trying to be very
world?
art game, and I'm like, all right, bring it back.
Yeah, exactly.
But even if it hasn't, it's still quite art game, and it still works. The Gardens Between, it's available on everything. Except Android. Rip.
Yeah, rip.
Bye.
No one's sad.
Whatever, no one's sad. Oh, just Kosh.
No
just
one
Kosh.
cares about
No one's sad.
Got a Switch.
Right. Oh, you've got a Switch, that's true.
No one cares about androids unless their name is Connor, so, you know.
I care about Android.
I'm ready!
You're not allowed.
I am ready.
That is the end of the show this week. Thanks for hanging
What a
out
shame.
on Z Games. It's okay, well, there's going to be more
Yeah.
next week.
Well, I guess you'll just have to stay tuned and follow us everywhere.
Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at ZED Games AU. We're also going to be putting up some bonus content on the website, zgamesau.net. There's going to be another episode going up there where you're talking Lifty, and I'm talking Feather, and Kosh is talking Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
Bonus web content.
Love it.
Dedication.
We love and appreciate you a bunch, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.